sanctions against the South African regime. It was a racist apartheid regime. So they were basically persona non grata in financial markets. A lot of people were not even allowed to do transactions in South African rand. So there was a currency that had similar initials, Saudi Arabian Riyal. Okay. So SAR is Saudi Arabian Riyal. Once South Africa came back to the international community after apartheid was lifted, they basically used ZAR for that. That's why. So you're thinking, where did the Z come from? Is it like the German accent, South African? Because in German, an S by itself is pronounced as a Z. So a German would say South Africa. S followed by a uh, another consonant, it's a sh sound. Yes. Hmm. No, never, never. Well, I mean, it's an old, it's it's similar around that area. Iran has something called Riyal or something like that. Kuwait has a dinar. Yeah, dinar is from the old Roman times. The dinar. No, it's South Africa. Uh, The land where Saudi Arabia is until about 1918 was most of was Ottoman territory. The desert itself, Ottomans never cared about that. But around 1926, there were kind of wars, and the Saudi family they basically conquered everybody else, and they established the Saudi Kingdom of Arabia. That is that. No, they were not a Portuguese colony. Mozambique was, Angola was. Brazil used to be Portuguese property because of Pope somebody. They actually did a meridian. They said anything to the west of that, east of that is Spanish. No, Portuguese. Anything to the east of that, west of that was Spanish. But the way South America is, most of the Brazil was to the east of that. That was it. That was the way they prevented the war or stopped the war between the Portuguese and the Spanish. All right, all these transactions have a bid ask, and there's a bid ask spread. It's basically the difference between, let me see the time, difference between the bid and offer prices. Uh, how much those spreads are depends on a few factors. One is which currency pair you're talking about. If you're talking about dollar euro, it's rarely bigger than one pip. A pip is the last digit in a four-digit representation. So if I say my dollar euro is 119.92, 92 to 93 is one pip, or sometimes it's called tick, but it's pip. Uh, in dollar yen, it's two digits after the decimal. 143.92 versus 93. It varies by currencies, but if the pair is relatively rare, if you're going to do a quote between Turkish lira and South African rand, bid offer spreads are going to be higher. Why? The transaction volume in that pair is not that high. If you want to cover yourself indirectly, so if I do a transaction where I bought 50 million rand and paid in Turkish liras, to cover myself, I may have to do two more transactions. If I'm buying South African rand, I'm going to sell dollars and buy yen. On the other hand, I'm going to buy Turkish lira and sell dollars. Okay. But that means I'm going through two bid offer spreads. So the cross bid offer spreads are always higher than the bid offer spreads of the individual ones. And how high they need to be depends upon so-called triangular arbitrage. The PowerPoint goes through that. I'm not going to care. I was able to benefit from that only once in my life, and I think I made only $100 on a transaction that involved three $5 million transactions. It's not much. It's basically temporary lack of communication between prices. Um, But these spreads also increase at the time uncertainty is high. Because when I give you a quote, I'm going to buy yen at 143.91 and sell it 192. 1 second later, you're going to say yours or mine, doesn't matter. Something could happen in the market and change that price. If I'm not doing this as a result of covering a client order, I'm basically taking momentary risk. If volatility is high, my ability to cover that uh, at a profit or at a small loss decreases. So to protect myself, I'm going to expand that bit of a spread. So in volatile times, it increases. And for currency pairs that are relatively rare, if you're going to do a deal between Colombian peso and Turkish lira, that spread is going to be pretty big because you're not going to cover yourself that easily. I mean, for example, let's look at actually, we should have the Excel spreadsheets. Let me see where I put it. No, I put it. Oh, that's a different class. I'm sorry. I was wondering what happened there. Um, well, let's look at this. USD JPY bid ask. Look at the current bid and ask. 143.47, 48. That's pretty close. Let's do USD ZAR 1772.73. If you actually worked out, it's probably a bigger spread. Okay, because transactions in South African rand is not as much. Or let's find Colombian peso. I mean, it's much bigger percentage. You can calculate it, but it's always much higher. We talked about this. I'm not gonna worry about uh, market microstructure too much. Okay. Actually, let's stop here. Let's talk about the forward markets and other stuff next time. And we'll also briefly go into to figure out calculation of fair prices in the forward markets. I'll see you guys Tuesday. I'll let you know of your groups this weekend. So I'm gonna do similar stuff for my business 302.